Number one, they reach out to old exes. Why do they do this stuff? You know why they do this stuff. Say it with me. Say it with me. Narcissistic supply. They need that supply. They want that attention. It's the almighty thing that they want, that like they need that thing to feed their ego. That's what they want. And so all of this is about feeding that ego, that food, that lifeblood, that oxygen, the thing that they need, because it's so deeply insecure. They got to have that, So all 10 of these are all about that. But how does it manifest itself, right? So, they might go on Facebook or whatever it is and start stalking out their old exes and reaching out to them, DMing them or whatever. So that's number one, reaching out to old exes. Okay. So number one. Number two, and I've definitely seen this in my law practice a lot, is they will plant spyware on your devices. Okay. And by the way, I have a video on this where I interviewed Rick Jordan, and I have a whole podcast on this. So you definitely want to check that out. They will plant spyware on your devices, on your phones, on your computers, on your laptops. They will plant spyware on your devices. I want to know what you're up to. So that's number two. Number three is very similar, and I've definitely seen this before too. And that is they will put trackers on your cars. I've seen this, so easy to do. It's something that they could just buy on Amazon or whatever. They are not expensive. And, they just pop it on the bottom or whatever, and they can track where you're going. So, it's not hard to install. It's something that they can just pop on. It's a tracker on your car. So that's number three. Number four is they will line up their flying monkeys and start their smear campaigns. And I just want you to know, and the flying monkeys are the people, the third parties that they get on their side to line up. It's a form of bullying. It's people that they line up to make you think that people are on their side against you. And they start their smear campaigns, and it starts during the discard phase. And even before you think the discard phase has started, sometimes they start planting these seeds. They had a little too much to drink last night. I'm so concerned for them. It starts like that, like this form of concern, that sort of thing. And if you want, definitely check out my video on how to shut down narcissist smear campaign. And just write in the comments right now, shut them down. Shut them down. It is so time to shut them down. Don't you agree with me? I mean, seriously. Okay, we are halfway there. Number five, they go through your stuff. I've totally seen this before too. Yeah, even your underwear drawer, whatever, they will totally go through your stuff. No boundaries, right? They have no boundaries. I've told you that before. That's number five. Number six, they will hack into your computer or your phone. They will do that. They will hack into your computer or your phone. I mean, regardless if the spyware or your whatever is on your devices, if they have some kind of acumen to be able to hack into your computers or your phone, they will definitely do that. And sometimes they don't even need to hack into it, by the way. If you have some kind of cloud device, they will be able to just see it. So that's why I tell people all the time, be aware of cloud devices. Make sure you change your passwords. Okay. Number seven, they will use your credit cards. They will definitely siphon money off. They will take money. They will use your finances. They will move money. That's for sure. I've seen that, of course. You all have seen that too. Move money offshore. Certainly seen that a lot. Hide money. I mean, that's a whole other story, way beyond the scope of this video. So that actually brings me to number 8, move money around. Again, way beyond the scope of this video. I have a whole other wealth of knowledge on that. And by the way, if you want to know more about that, I would definitely join my club, which you can do at joinslay.com/club. We can talk more about that there. Okay. Number 9, just, old school, spy on you, stalk you. That's obviously not beyond them. Another whole thing. And number 10, drum roll, please. Number 10. What do you guys think it is? Can you guys guess? What do you think it is? Cheat. Of course. They'll just cheat on you. And cheating can be all sorts of things. It can be trolling websites for porn. It can be hiring escorts. It could be just cheating. It could be all sorts of things. I've seen it all. There is nothing anyone can tell me that will shock me at this point. Do you know I've practiced law for 20 years? There is nothing anyone can tell me that will shock me at this point. Zero. So those are the unsettling things that narcissists will do when they think that you are not looking. If you are wondering what a narcissist is doing when they're by themselves, no, they're not baking you cookies or writing you love letters. No, that's not what they're doing. Unfortunately, they're known for their manipulative and controlling behavior, and it's not better when they're by themselves. When they think no one's watching, they're up to worse behavior, as I am sure you can imagine. One of the things they're doing is some version of cheating. It might be just flat out cheating. It might be on some app, trolling for whatever. It might be porn. It might be reaching out to old exes, looking at stuff that they're not supposed to, but it's boosting their ego. Maybe it's securing future supply. It's creating jealousy for you, confusion in their current relationship. If you notice them suddenly looking a little better, maybe not as interested in you, trying to get you to think that, oh, somebody else wants me and not just you, it might be a red flag. So don't be surprised if all of a sudden they start looking more buff, or they get their teeth done or their boobs done or whatever it is. They may be, looking for a backup supply because they want to make sure they're never going to be alone. Okay. They like getting that admiration. That's probably what's going on. And if you've seen it, let me know. Say, I've seen it in the comments. The next one is planting spyware, tracking and hacking on your stuff, putting a tracker on your car, putting spyware on your computer, putting spyware on your phone. Make sure you're changing your passwords regularly. Change your passwords to your logins. If you're suspecting unusual activity on your devices, such as your apps, when you're opening them, if you notice your battery draining quickly, it could be due to spyware. Always use strong passwords and check your devices regularly for unauthorized software. Consider using antivirus programs that can detect and remove spyware. In my S.L.A.Y program, I do have a whole bonus on, detecting, removing, tracking and hacking, just letting you know. But if you want to just get started with how to negotiate powerfully with a narcissist, get my free Crush My Negotiation Prep playbook at winmynegotiation.com. It's just a way to get started. If you're checking your car, it's usually up under the wheel, in the wheel well, inside the wheel. Have your car professionally checked, though, for devices if you suspect foul play. Sometimes they have to put it up on a thing that they can look up underneath if you're suspecting a car, because that's another thing they do is they will put a tracker on your car. I mean, I have seen them put trackers on cars, and then they put it on their app. And they're watching wherever it is that you're driving. So, it's it just gives them a little sense of control. They enjoy that. Oh, there they are. That's where they're going. They like to follow you. That's one of the things that they do. If you guys have seen this, if you guys have experienced this, let me know. I would love to know in the comments the kinds of things that you've seen. I mean, I've seen people put video cameras like up in the house where they're watching them when they're at home. The next thing is that they line up flying monkeys and start smear campaigns. They're always a step ahead in their manipulative games. They might start this 6 months before any kind of discard phase. People will start this, oh, I'm so concerned about Susie and her drinking, just worried about her. I'm just concerned, she had a little too much. She's just so stressed lately. She's drinking a lot around the kids. I'm just concerned. I call the covert narcissists the pearl grabbers. They're just, oh, just worried, and then 6 months later, it's, oh, but, Susie's an alcoholic, and Susie probably doesn't have any problem with alcohol at all. Or if she does drink more than usual, it's because, narc over there is probably giving her stress. They do this and then, oh, well, you're going to testify against her now, aren't you? I've been telling you that she has a problem. This is what they do, but they start the smear campaign. They start seeding it. They start dropping the hints like way before you even realize that there's an issue, but they act like they're smearing in terms of care. A lot of times, if you're hearing strange rumors about yourself, or you start noticing friends acting differently toward you, it could be a narcissist smear campaign going on. Just stay calm, don't engage, don't act, like anything. Just, oh, that's interesting. Don't engage. You focus on maintaining your integrity and your truth. You just stay calm. Don't go there. Just start documenting. I call your documentation when they act like that. That's your gift. That's your gift because you're just writing it down. Don't say anything about it. You just write it down. And then the next thing is that they start hacking into your phone. They start hacking into your computer, hacking into your phone. I mean, I've seen this before. I've seen crazy things where, like, if they're really pretty good, like I've seen things disappear off of people's phones. It's insane. But a lot of times it's just because people haven't changed their passwords or changed their logins. So you really need to change information so that they can't access your personal information. You don't want them reading your messages. You don't want them monitoring your activities. So if you notice that your email or your social media has been accessed without your permission, or you receive a password reset notification that you didn't initiate, it's probably a sign that somebody's trying to hack into your device. Change your password immediately. Make sure you have multi-factor authority on it, so MFA, so that it has to come to your phone for added security. I would love to know if you guys have seen this, if you guys have experienced any of these unsettling behaviors from a narcissist. How did you handle it? Share it in the stories below. Your experiences will help other people going through similar situations, right? They sneak around, they look at stuff, they cheat, they lie, they start lining up their flying monkeys, they're going through your stuff. That's another thing that they do when they're alone. They go through your stuff. They look for evidence of what you're doing. Let's go through all 7 of them. Number 1, nastiest method is the preemptive cheat. So what happens is they think that something's going to happen. They think that you're doing something sneaky. So what they do, they go and cheat on you ahead of time. They think that maybe you're losing interest. They think that something's happened. So they go and cheat on you ahead of time. And then they justify it. This even worse is that they justify it by, hey, you were losing interest. You didn't pay enough attention to me. They actually go and blame it on you because they said, oh, it was a foregone conclusion. You weren't behaving in a certain way. they perceive, real or imagined, that there was some vibe going on. And so they start grooming a new source of supply. And then they even actually go and do this preemptive cheat and have this new supply lined up, because that way, when this whatever happens, they've got somebody else already lined up. Super nasty, really horrible, but that's what they do. So that's one of the nastiest methods. Number two, the love bomb at the beginning. I mean, that's just a horrible, nasty method. It's basically a bait and switch. You think you're getting this amazing, incredible, unbelievable soulmate, and it ends up being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I mean, this is even whether it's a business partner or a romantic partner. Frankly, I was in a business partnership with somebody who turned out to be, the worst possible thing. They know how to mirror you and become exactly what it is that you think that you want, and turn on the charm, the charisma, and everything else. So honestly, that's a nasty method, is just completely lying to lure you in and then turn into your nightmare. So that's nasty method number two. I would say nasty method number three is luring in other new supply while you're still around, just to keep their options open. This is not the preemptive cheat, but it's just constantly grooming other sources of supply while you're still around, just to have options open just in case. It's sort of like having jars of jam in the cellar, or jars of extra cans of food around, just in case. It's like that hurricane preparation, just to keep their options open. Super nasty, really horrible, but that's what they do. Super nasty method. Nasty method number four is they're constantly playing devil's advocate. They're just never on your side for anything ever. Ever. I mean, you just never have their support. There's no refuge with them. It just, whatever it is, even if you're talking about somebody that that they can't stand, and you think for sure they're going to be on your side about this one, oh no, they take that other person's side, because they're never on your side for anything ever. They just never support you. It's constantly playing devil's advocate against you. So that's just a nasty method as well. And let me tell you, I'm just going to say, I want you to put in the comments right now, I deserve better, because you do. I want you to start thinking about that. I deserve better, because you do. You definitely deserve better. Believe me, I have videos on self-care when you're dealing with narcissists, self-care to cope when you're dealing with narcissists. You definitely want to check them out, because you do need self-care. You need to take care of yourself when you're dealing with a narcissist. And so definitely check out the video that I have. And I actually even have a whole entire series on self-care when you're dealing with narcissists. Check out that. The next thing they do, they're really terrible with, taking care of their own stuff. And they're always too busy for you. First of all, you're always handling all of their stuff. You're always taking care of their stuff. But then when you ask them to do anything for you, it's never reciprocal. Never reciprocal. They're too busy for you all the time. And then when you ask them to do something, it's like, well, you better want to give them something like 100-fold back. Right? It's like, maybe, let me see. All right, hold on one second. They have their gym schedule. They have something else that is so much more important than handling anything for you at that moment. It's got to be optional for sure, because otherwise they're just definitely too busy for you. So that's number 5. Number 6 is you're definitely their servant. I mean, so they're too busy for you, but you have to do everything for them all the time. You just end up feeling drained, because they're totally parasites. I mean, you do 100 things for them. And by the way, no acknowledgement for it. I mean, that's just the payment that you get for being in their space. Forget any kind of thank you, or because if you ask them for a thank you, it's like, yeah, okay. And then if you want acknowledgement, then they're going to be angry for it. Then you're the narcissist or whatever. You just have to do whatever you're supposed to do just to be in their space. So you basically work for them. So that's nasty behavior number 6. And number 7 is you are their janitor. You have to constantly clean up their messes because they just constantly are making crazy decisions, crazy things. They're constantly doing things where you just have to do everything for them and clean up their messes. Whether it's a bad financial decision, maybe they're switching jobs or something with their family or whatever, but you're constantly having to take care of them. Even if it's something, where you're the business partner or whatever, they didn't show up for something that they were supposed to. They didn't, collect receivables like when they were supposed to. So you end up handling everything. They were supposed to do the team meetings. So you end up handling that. That's what ends up happening when it comes to narcissists, because, they're kind of inherently lazy. So you end up sort of clean up on aisle 10, being their janitor. So one of the things that you can do to shut down this smear campaign is really to just ignore it and just not give it any life. Don't feed the fire. Don't go back to the other person and try to correct things or whatever. If they're saying things in court, like let's say they said things in a pleading or an motion or something like that, you can respond in a way that you need to respond to, maybe formally, with a denial in a pleading or something like that. Or you can potentially wait until you have to testify or be in a deposition, and then allow your attorney to ask the proper questions to elicit your response so that you can actually respond to whatever it is that they might have said, if it's necessary to even respond. But sometimes, they can send you this super long email about how you are, a deadbeat or a drug abuser or a wife beater or whatever it is that they're saying. And, and then maybe there's one kernel in there of something that you need to respond to, like what time to pick up the kids or something. And you can just say, I deny all of your allegations. I'm in receipt of your email. I deny all of your allegations. Thank you very much. I will see you on Wednesday at 3 to pick up the kids. And just leave it like that. And don't feel like you have to respond to every single thing that they say, because if you do, then you get sucked into the mud, you get sucked into the vortex, and now you're in it. And now your emotions are running wild. Now they've got that narcissistic supply that they're looking for. So just for the most part, just ignore it. And it's really, really hard. And I've had to do this. I've had a couple of narcissists that have targeted me. And I know that smear campaigns have gone on. And I've just made a decision that, I can't control what the narcissist is going to say to other people. There's no way other than maybe duct taping their mouth and shoving them in the basement that you can ever stop them from saying what they're going to say. I mean, they're just awful people. So you can't control them, but you can control your response to it. And so just ignore them and understand that they're going to do what they're going to do, but you can also do what you're going to do. And so if you are so ready to shut down the narcissist smear campaign, give me a shut them down in the comments. All right, the next thing that you can do to shut down a narcissist smear campaign is create your own life, create your own new beginning, create your own new future, and just move forward, and don't give that any power or any more energy by creating your own new life. One of the things that I learned how to do to pivot was I realized that as long as I'm thinking about what the narcissist is saying, doing, or engaging in, I am not in creation mode. I am not doing something that serves my soul and serves humanity and serves the world. And that's our purpose here on this planet. We are here to grow, to learn, to expand into the best versions of ourselves. And if you are mired in what is the narcissist doing and all up in that, first of all, it doesn't allow you to be in creation mode or positive mode because you can't be in both at the same time. But second of all, quantum law tells us that what you think about multiplies. What you appreciate appreciates. And so if you're thinking about what that narcissist is doing, saying, and engaging in, you are going to get more of that into your life. Like attracts like. It's a law of physics. And your thoughts are energy. So as long as you're giving energy to those thoughts, you're going to get more of that. You're going to get more of whatever it is that you're thinking about in your life. So start doing what you need to do to have gratitude for the wonderful things that are happening in your life, and just start pivoting. It's like, as soon as you find yourself thinking about what that narcissist is doing, I want you to just stop and go, oh my God, there I am. I'm thinking about this. Let me think about something else. Let me pivot towards something else. Let me have this project that I'm working on. Write that book that you've always wanted to write. Create that charity you've always wanted to create, or do whatever it is that you need to do to focus yourself on something amazing and positive. You know, maybe it's taking your experience with this narcissist that you're dealing with and helping other people. You know, start a blog or something like that. Start a support group. Get yourself into a place where you can start being in a more positive mode. I do have a private Facebook group. Join that. That will help you as well, help you pivot. It's called Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. And you can definitely join that and start to get yourself into a positive mode of thinking instead of that negative mode of thinking. And that is one way to really shut down that narcissist smear campaign, because, you know, once you're no longer giving them supply, then they're no longer going to be interested. They're just like predators looking for supply everywhere they can. And if they're not getting it from you, then they won't be interested anymore. They will want to have to go get it from somewhere else. So let's talk about a narcissist and the narcissist smear campaign. You can't have a narcissist without a smear campaign, especially in the discard phase of a relationship. Remember, the narcissistic relationship starts with love bombing. Then it goes into devaluing, and then we have the discard phase. And if you want to know more about the 3 phases of a narcissistic relationship, make sure you check out my videos on love bombing, devaluing, and discarding so that you can learn more about that. And remember that even though it starts with love bombing and ends with discarding, they can be love bombing as they're discarding and love bombing as they're devaluing. And, you know, it's kind of this toxic stew in between, as one of my followers had said one time. So it's so true. But in the discard phase of a relationship, that's when you really see the birth of the smear campaign. Because when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're either for them or you're against them. And you can't be, you know, even when you're for them, they don't always believe that you're for them, and they're constantly testing you to see if you're for them. Are you, you know, constantly testing. And if you want to know more about how narcissists test their victims, make sure you check out my video on how narcissists test victims, because they're testing you from the minute you are brushed up against each other. They're testing you. But in the discard phase of the relationship, when you're kind of coming toward the end, whether it's you are the one who's discarding or the narcissist is the one that's discarding, you're going to see this birth of the smear campaign, because the narcissist wants to get out in front of this. They want to be the one that comes out looking good, and you are the one that looks bad. So they're going to do whatever they can to make you look bad. As a divorce attorney, I see the smear campaign happening all the time. And so what's one of the signs of a smear campaign? You start seeing like that they're emailing people or texting people or telling people that there's something wrong with you. That, you know, in a divorce setting, they may start the seeds of their smear campaign long before the divorce is actually filed. So for example, they might say something like, oh, I'm really concerned about my husband or my wife because, you know, he or she had too much to drink last night, and I'm just really worried, you know, that maybe he or she is depressed, and they couch it in this like concern while they're actually stabbing you in the back. And so what they do then is several months later, when the divorce is actually filed or going, then they can go, oh, so-and-so is an alcoholic. Well, I told you that, you know, I've been seeing signs of this for a long time. And so that's kind of part of the smear campaign. You start to see these little seeds being planted through what they're saying, through what they're texting, what they're emailing to people. And you know, you might even see it on their social media and that sort of thing. So they're much more covert usually about it before the divorce is actually started or before the real discard is in full play. And once the discard is in full play, that's when, and out in the open, because you've either broken up or you've revealed to them that you no longer want to be in a relationship with them, whether it's in a business relationship or a divorce relationship, or they've revealed to you that they no longer want to be in a relationship. Now they have to turn you into the enemy because they want to get out in front of it. They want to make sure that everybody knows that it was your fault that something happened with the relationship. It was because you were a cheater, because you didn't meet their needs, because you're a liar, because you're the narcissist. They might even tell people that you're the narcissist because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, or that you were abusive, or whatever, fill in the blank. But they want to make sure that the world sees that they are the good ones and that you are the bad ones. So what are some other signs of smear campaigns? Flying monkeys. They start lining up their flying monkeys. And remember that flying monkeys are it's another word for triangulation. They're basically getting people lined up to be on their side and see how wonderful they are and how awful you are. And that way they can say things to you like, oh, everybody else knows how wonderful I am. Everybody else thinks I'm a fantastic mother or a amazing father. You're the only one who thinks fill in the blank. So it's a way of isolating you, a way of controlling you, and a way of making you feel degraded, devalued, and that no one else will ever understand what you've been dealing with because everyone else thinks this person is amazing. And they line up flying monkeys in all different forms. I mean, it can be people that you were both friends with. It can be, if it's a business setting, it might be clients, it might be other people in your field. It may even be members of your family. It may be neighbors. It may be anybody who they feel that they can use against you to hurt you so that you feel like everybody else thinks that this person is wonderful. Even though you know the truth about this person, no one's going to believe you because everyone else thinks that they're incredible. So flying monkeys is a very, very integral part of the the narcissist smear campaign. Another way that narcissists use the smear campaign, another sign of a smear campaign, is being left out of things that you might have typically been included in, things that you might have typically been invited to. And so you're left over here feeling isolated again, like, you know, look at how they're winning and going on with their life and continuing to have a fantastic time while you're left over here out in the cold, being isolated. And obviously you've made a huge mistake in not continuing to give this narcissist the endless amount of supply that you were supposed to give this narcissist. So, you know, you're going to be punished for not continuing to do whatever it was that the narcissist thought that you should do. Which, by the way, even when you were doing all of those things, it still wasn't good enough. So it really was a black hole to begin with, and it continues to be a black hole. You will see that that's the kind of thing that they do. That's one of the signs of a smear campaign. And if you've seen or been the victim of a narcissist and their flying monkeys, give me a "this stops now" in the comments. Another sign of a smear campaign is having their minions, their flying monkeys, like check up on you and check up on what you're doing. So they might say, "Oh, are you doing okay? So-and-so wanted to know if you're doing okay." Or maybe they just have them spy on you by having one of your neighbors or friends or family members tell them what you were up to, or maybe spying on you by looking at your social media accounts to see what you've been doing. "Oh, I see that you took the kids to some place," or something like that. Or, "I understand that you fed the kids, you know, candy for dinner. So-and-so saw that," or something like that. So they have their flying monkeys in various places, their little spies who are either allegedly checking up on you or just straight out spying on you. And the last sign of a smear campaign is what we see in the court system all the time, and that is that they file things within the court system about you that aren't true. So they will ask for sole custody, or they will say that you are an unfit parent, or they will say that you are a wife beater, or that you are an abuser, or that you are an alcoholic, or that you're a drug addict, and, you know, whatever it is that they need to say to gain some kind of advantage over you within the court system. Okay, so they are constantly with their phones, and they have very, very weird, suspicious phone habits, these narcissists. And so I want to share their secretive behavior, 5 habits that they have when it comes to their phones, so that you can spot this behavior and see what's going on and understand what's happening. And that way you can kind of see it and spot it ahead of time, and your antenna can be going up when you see it. All right. So number 1 is you'll see that they're extremely secretive. You'll see that they'll never give you access to their phone, and they'll never give you the passcode to it. So when you see this happening, you know, yeah, there's something definitely going on, right? So extremely secretive. They don't give you access to it. They don't give you the passcode to it. You never know what the passcode is. And they may even be changing that passcode constantly to it. So even if you did know it at one point, you don't know it now. So like maybe you saw it over their shoulder at one point. Oh, you saw it was 1825 or whatever it was. And now all of a sudden it's something different, because they're extremely secretive about it and they never give you access to it. All right. So that's number 1. Remember, I'm going to number 5 here. That's number 1. Number 2 is that they are super glued to those phones. I mean, so glued to those phones. You can never hardly even get near those phones, right? I mean, not only do you not have access to the passcode to them, but they're so glued to those phones. They take those phones with them everywhere. I mean, even into the bathroom when they're going to take a shower. I mean, you don't get near those phones to barely even have a chance to take a look at them anyway. Even if you did know the passcode or the passwords to them, when would you have a chance to even use them? Because those phones are so glued to them. They're almost like a part of their body. So you don't get a chance to go near them anyway, right? I mean, some of them even like sleep with them under their pillows, right? I mean, so you don't get a chance to even go near those phones. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to hide their behavior, to hide what's going on. Maybe it's to hide affairs or to hide who they're talking to or whatever. They turn off their text notifications, so most of the time people will have like text notifications that'll pop up even when there's a lock screen on, so that, you can see what's going on. Like, oh, I see I got a text, right? And you can even read the text even if the phone is locked. They'll turn off those notifications so that that doesn't pop up, so that nobody can read a text if the phone is away from them for some reason, so that no one can see what's going on, so that the texts and things and notifications don't pop up if the phone happens to be locked and away from them. All right. So that's another thing. So they'll turn off the notifications so that the notifications don't appear on the lock screen. And they're super, suspicious with it. They'll grab it right away. They'll act kind of funny with it. When it does happen to pop up, they'll grab it immediately and they won't let you near it. And, they do act suspicious in this way, which is how they end up telling on themselves a lot of times if they are engaging in behavior that they shouldn't. And I do have a whole video on how narcissists tell on themselves, and you definitely may want to check that out if you think that there's something going on. So it's called How Narcissists Tell on Themselves. Definitely check that out. I have a whole video on how they tell on themselves. All right. And so number four is that they're constantly erasing all their history. So even if you do get near their phone, even if you somehow have their passcode, you somehow get near their phone, you somehow get into their phone, all of a sudden you see everything is gone. They have no text history. They have no history in, their search history for their internet. Everything is erased all the time, which is super, I think, suspicious, because everybody usually has, their text messages there or their emails there. You can see their history of their browsing or whatever. Everything's always erased for them. So that's something else that is super weird, super suspicious for narcissists. They delete their logs, they delete all their messages, their browsing history. Everything's always deleted regularly. And that's something else that I find very, very suspicious. If you've seen any of this so far, give me a totally in the comments. If you've seen any of these weird, suspicious behaviors so far, give me a totally in the comments below. And the last one that I've got for you today is that their phone is always on silent mode. It's never where it rings. And sometimes it's not even on vibrate. It's just on silent completely, so that there's like no notification whatsoever. It just, nothing pops up at all. So that if anybody's near them, you just don't even get any kind of a pop-up, or they don't get any kind of a pop-up. So nobody gets to see whatsoever that they're getting any kind of an incoming anything. So those are definitely the ones for sure that I've seen weird, suspicious phone habits of narcissists. There's all kinds of other ones too, where they might have even downloaded apps that they use to communicate, or some of them don't even have any apps on their phones whatsoever. I mean, there's all kinds of other ones, but those are the main 5 that I've seen. All right. So what happens when that narcissist realizes that life just absolutely sucks without you? Ugh, it's the best, first of all. So here's the thing. Here's the total paradox. And I've had to deal with narcissists in my real life, not just in my law practice. Yes, I've had to deal with them in my law practice. I've had a lot of them as clients, as opposing counsel, as judges, as opposing clients, even as employees sometimes. Not too many of those, thank goodness. But, I've had to deal with them. But the worst ones that I've had to deal with have been a couple of covert narcissists that have actually targeted me. And not fun, let me tell you. Not fun, the worst. Here's what I call the narcissist paradox. The narcissist paradox is that they treat you like crap the entire time, and then they don't want you to leave. They're actually shocked when you leave. They're desperate for you to stay. But you want to run the hell out of there like your hair is on fire. Like you are running the hell away like your body is on fire. Like you want to get the hell out of there. But they are like, oh my God, you're leaving? What? Like they don't want you to go. But yet, the whole time you were there, they actually kind of gave you the impression like life sucked with you. They're so screwed up, these people. They are really so screwed up in a lot of ways. But yes, they literally hate you. And it's a mess. In a lot of ways, they do hate you in some ways. And I actually have a whole video on that. 8 reasons the narcissist hates you. You're definitely going to want to check that out. But you can't wait to get the hell out of there. I know. But then they have a major meltdown because you actually left. And why do they have a major meltdown that you left? Not because they miss you. They're going to say it's because they miss you. They miss the oxygen source that you are, the food source that you are. They miss the supply that you are. Okay. They miss what you bring to them, whatever it was that you were bringing to them. It's not good. All right. It's not what you want. You don't want to be missed in that way. They were using you. I can't say it in any nicer way. I mean, the truth of the matter is they were using you for whatever it is they were using you for. And I mean, as a supply source. So yeah, they're desperate. They're desperate to get you back. They're desperate to get whatever supply source back that you were to them because they were using you. So they were using you for money, sex, maybe it was company, maybe it was you loving them in some way, but it was not because of you. They do have a desperate, massive fear of abandonment, and they will go through stages, rage, anger. They definitely took you for granted, and they really did think you would stick around, and they really do see things in black and white, and they really will want to go after you. So they will do things to retaliate. They will line up flying monkeys, and they're going to go through this rage and anger, and they will try to line up other forms of supply in a desperate measure to sort of replace the supply that you were, okay? Because they need that supply. So they're going to want to try to replace whatever the form of supply was that you were. So whatever it was, whether it's, in the form of a flying monkey, somebody else, whether it's trying to get your attention. So if you're in a lawsuit situation, they may try to do that. They may file all kinds of motions against you, use the court system against you, try to replace one form of supply with another by Okay, if you're not going to give me supply in the form of money or sex or attention in one way, I'm going to replace it in another way by manipulating you and controlling you and making your life miserable, using the court system against you, using the kids against you, whatever I need to. Maybe I'll try to make you feel guilty. Maybe I will love bomb you, flood you. If they realize you're not coming back, then they will start to struggle. They will start to be, come undone. They may really have a crisis of self because they don't have a sense of self. They may start to stalk you. I mean, depending on how malignant they are. They may start to stalk you. There may be violence. There may be threats of violence, but they're not going to have remorse if they're a real narcissist. They're not going to have remorse for you. They may be watching you. I mean, they're super creepy. And if you think that is so creepy, put so creepy in the comments. And they may begrudgingly move on to another form of supply if they have to, which is what you want. You want them to slime on down the road. You need them to do that because if they're not true narcissists, they're not going to be rehabilitated. At least that what you have to come to terms with. You have to come to terms with you're not getting closure. They're not going to come back to you and say, I'm sorry. And you're not going to get that. I didn't appreciate you enough. I took you for granted. I'm sorry. You're not going to get that. Oh, let's stay friends. None of that's going to happen. So just forget about all of that. The closure you're going to get is you found out that this person was not a good person. Good for you. Move on and find somebody who can appreciate you and heal yourself, become whole and complete, so that you don't repeat the pattern for the next time, and let that person be who they are. Otherwise, you just have to know that they're going to figure out, that they're going to have to get a different form of supply. And, they'll probably keep watching you. They'll keep comparing. They'll figure out, oh, is that person, do they have a better form of supply? How are they doing? Am I doing better than they are or not? Because they don't have a sense of self. But you can heal yourself. And the best thing that you can do is move on and forget about them. Hopefully you'll no longer care. They don't have that sense of self. So they'll keep watching and they'll keep comparing and they'll keep stewing. Let them do that. You forget about them, right? Don't look back. Like that old Boston song, Don't Look Back. Yeah. That's what you want to do. And that's my best advice to you. Seriously, I have done it myself and it is seriously the best. 5 things that narcissists will blame you for that are totally not your fault. Number 1, their daily problems, which are basically constant, by the way. And it's not your fault, but they get a hangnail. They got a freaking hole in their sweater or whatever. Totally, anything that goes wrong in their life and it's your fault somehow. And, you manipulated it. They're just raging at you. And then, when you're upset, then that becomes a reason that they get to be angry because you're angry because you were mad at them because you treated them poorly the way you were treated in the first place. I mean, it's so messed up, right? That's what they do. So number 1, their daily problems. Number 2, their failures. Something went wrong at work. Something went wrong in their life. This is, by the way, if they are business partners with you, you work with them. Even worse, by the way, their failures, something happens with them, your fault. They got to find somebody to project project and deflect. That's what they do, project and deflect. And so they're going to project and deflect it on you. And so that's what they do. It's got to come off onto somebody else, especially what happens when they get caught in lies. And I have a whole video on that, what happens when narcissists get caught in lies. And you definitely want to check that out. When they fail at something, your fault. Totally not your fault, but they're going to blame it on you. So, so that's number two, things that a narcissist will blame you for, totally not your fault. Number three, people not liking them. If somebody doesn't like them, they're going to say, oh, well, it's because they don't like you. So that's your fault that somebody doesn't like them. They can't take responsibility for their stuff. And by the way, they hate themselves. So that's why they hate you too. And so they constantly picking fights with you, and they thrive on that too. They get supply from picking fights. And I have a whole video on why narcissists pick fights as well, which you should definitely check out because it's so annoying why they constantly pick fights, isn't it? Definitely check that out too. Why narcissists pick fights. You should fight back and fight back against for your life. Get the heck out of there. So I want you to put that in the comments right now. Fight back. Number four, if they have problems with their ex, problems with custody with their kids, anything like that, that's your fault too somehow. Even if you were trying to help, if all you did was try to help, somehow that gets turned around and becomes your fault. Even if it's not your fault, you get blamed for it. You get blamed for it. Everything's your fault. And number five is the one that drives me absolutely insane, is when they cheat. Them cheating, they blame it on you. If they cheat and then they blame it on you because you didn't pay enough attention to them, because you were cold, because it seemed like the relationship was going in that direction, because you didn't respond the way they thought that they were going to, because you flirted with somebody, or even if you didn't, but they perceived that you did, or whatever it was, but somehow they cheated and then they turn around and blame it on you. It's like a second level of hurt, a second wave of victimization that you end up having to deal with. Like, not only are you not getting any remorse, any kind of feeling like they care about it at all, they actually turn around and blame it on you. That's when you got to get out of there. All right. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. I upload brand new content every single day, and you want to make sure that you get notified. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Okay, so I have heard it all when helping people negotiate with narcissists and break free from these toxic relationships. And they say the same things over and over again. The thing about narcissists is that they do have a pattern of how they speak. And that's the good news. I mean, the bad news is that it is so difficult to deal with them. But the good news is that there is a pattern in dealing with them. And so if you're kind of wondering, am I dealing with a narcissist? Is it true? Is this person that I'm trying to manage, communicate with, negotiate with a narcissist? Well, check out this video and you'll know by the end of this video. And make sure you watch all the way to the end, because I do have 7 different phrases here, and all of them taken together are, kind of a checklist for you. So you can kind of see, taken together, is this person a narcissist that I'm dealing with? Okay. And as I said, I've helped millions of people through this channel, thousands of people through my practice in coaching people through negotiations, through my law practice. So I definitely have seen it all. Leave me. All right. So, number one is you make such a big deal out of everything. This is really a form of gaslighting. And gaslighting is a way of making people feel like they're crazy. It's a form of control. It's a form of destabilizing people. It's really a way of getting a narcissist victim to believe that they don't have power. And so it's something that narcissists use to make their victims feel confused. So you make such a big deal out of everything. That's number one. Number two, this is really from a male to a female. Okay. And this is it your time of the month? I know it is so misogynistic. It's so degrading. It's so devaluing. And it really is just so meant to be, I'm not giving any credence to what you're saying. I'm totally going to just devalue whatever it is that just came out of your mouth, because I'm just going to say, oh, is it your time of the month? That's number two. Number three is other people's wives or husbands think blah, 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 other people's spouses, or in this same vein, it's even so-and-so agrees with me. This is all in the same line of everyone else thinks, everyone else believes, or no one else thinks. It's a way of making you feel isolated. It's a way of making you feel like you're the only one who thinks this, or no one else thinks that. And it's actually also part of almost like a smear campaign that has started as well, because in that, they also maybe have started to speak about you to these people. And during the discard phase, you do see the birth of the smear campaign as well. And I do have a whole video on how to shut down the narcissist smear campaign, which I highly recommend that you check out, because sometimes the smear campaign can actually start long before you even know the discard phase has started, where they started planting seeds long before. They started saying things about you long before that aren't even necessarily where I'm saying something bad about the person. They couch it in terms of concern. A lot of times I'm concerned about this person's parenting skills. I'm concerned about this person's drinking. I'm concerned about how much this person is working. I'm concerned about their long hours. I'm concerned about how much time they spend away from home, something like that, where it's a backhanded smear. And so then by the time the discard phase comes along, they can say, oh, I told you, that they spend so much time away. So that by the time it comes time to go into a custody phase or something like that, they can say, oh, I told you that they were never around, or I told you they were a terrible parent, or whatever. Even so-and-so agrees with me that you were never around and that you're a terrible parent. Everyone else thinks that you're horrible. No one else thinks that you should have custody, something like that. And so, everyone else believes this or that. And, they do the same thing even in a workplace setting. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a marriage. It can be a workplace setting too. They do the same thing. So no one else thinks that you should get this promotion. No one else thinks that you're good at sales. No one else thinks that you are very good at this job. And everyone else thinks that I'm better at it. that sort of thing. I mean, it's the same principle. You can take this same principle and apply it across the board to whatever it is that we're talking about. So that's number 3. Number 4 is, why are you bringing this up now? So what they do is they take whatever it is that you are trying to bring up and they attack what you're talking about. They attack your tone, the timing, when you're bringing it up, where you're bringing it up, so that you never get to bring up the topic of what you're bringing up, so that you're never heard, because then you feel totally frustrated. You never feel like you matter then. It's a way of devaluing you. It's a way of disrespecting you. If you think that this is so true so far, put "so true" in the comments. Another one that they'll say is, I don't like your tone. I don't like your body language. I don't like how you're standing. I don't like your posture. Again, it's something else to attack so that you never get to the point of what it is that you're saying. And number 6 is, you're so ungrateful, or some derivation thereof. You're so unappreciative. You don't know how good you have it. Something like that. It's always something around how great they've been to you and how much you don't appreciate how good they are, and something to make you feel guilty. And especially if you are trying to ask for something from them, you are trying to get them to be held accountable for something, you're trying to hold them responsible for something, or you're even asking for them to acknowledge you or acknowledge your feelings, even not holding them accountable, even just acknowledge you in any way. That's when you're ungrateful, you're unappreciative, you don't know how good you have it. All of those things, they become a victim. They become a victim. Somehow it gets turned around back onto them. So that's number 6. And number 7 is, you can never let anything go. You can never let anything go. Or, can't we just move on? You're always starting problems. Can't we just move on? Why do we have to think about this? Okay, today we are tackling one of the most important topics, which is what the narcissist's favorite weapons are, and most importantly, how you can spot them and also fight back against them. All right. You're going to want to make sure you watch all the way till the end, because at the end, I'm going to give you what the most vicious ones are and how you can fight back against them. All right. So number 1 is texts and emails. So here's the thing. Narcissists are inherently afraid. That's the truth of the matter. They're actually more afraid of you than you are of them. For the most part, they don't do things like right at you. They try to use like other forms. And so they'll use texts or emails or things like that to try to get at you. They'll use forms of things to try to make you feel intimidated in some way. They might use some kind of psychological thing, especially when the relationship breaks down. So during the discard phase, this is when you start to see the birth of the smear campaign. You become public enemy number 1 at that point, because they see things in black and white. You're either for them or against them. And when you are now against them, then they have to go after you. They have to show the world that they got you before you got them. And so they're going to want to kind of create this paper trail of you are now, the enemy in some way. So they might actually confirm things that aren't even true. This is to confirm that you said this, or that this is happening, or something like that. And like that conversation never even happened. And so what you'll have to do is just straight up say this conversation never happened, something like that. Or if there's a sea of crap coming at you, don't defend yourself. I always say, pretend like you're reporting the news. Never explain, justify, or overshare. Don't get emotional. Don't get down in the weeds with them. You say things like, I am in receipt of your email. I deny everything you're saying. And then just pick through and find the one or two things that you absolutely need to respond to, and then only respond to those things. Just remember that every text, every email, everything that you send, everything that you post is a potential trial exhibit. So watch yourself and don't get down in the mud. Don't get into the weeds with them. So I want you to put that in the comments right now. I will watch myself. And don't get into the weeds. Stay out of the weeds. All right. The next thing that they do is they ghost you. They try to get you triggered by ghosting you. They just stop responding so that you will start going nutso on them. They do things to try to make you get emotional. That's what they want you to do. They want you to be triggered. They want you to look like the crazy one. They want you to look like you're the one who's emotional and crazy so that they can turn around and say, look, there's the crazy one. And they use that against you. And I've seen that many, many times. So be careful about that. Okay. So that's number two. Number three is that they will use flying monkeys. What flying monkeys are the people that they line up to be their like army of bullies, so that you feel isolated, so you feel like the world is against you, like you're the only one who thinks a certain way, or that you feel like everybody else is on the bully's side, on the narcissist side, and you are alone. And so why bother even trying to win this war? Because you're never going to win. It's a psychological way of thinking. And a lot of times I want you to know the flying monkeys may not even know that they're being love bombed by this narcissist. They may not even realize the truth of what's going on. And it doesn't matter. You need to stand in your own power and know your own truth. Just march forward, regardless of what's going on with those flying monkeys. I do have a whole video, by the way, on how to shut down a narcissist smear campaign. Definitely check that out. And number 4, this is very, very important. Very important. They use the court system as a sword. They will start filing false allegations, and you're going to want to go crazy when they start doing this. Now, what I want you to know is just because they file it in the court is not evidence. What's put in the court system is not evidence. All right. They still have to prove it. And most of the time, the judges don't even read that stuff. They still have to have a hearing on it. They still have to prove it. They still have to submit evidence to prove their allegations. So don't go crazy when you see things being filed in the court system that aren't true. And you have to get on the offensive. You need to have a strategy that will potentially expose them, that will create leverage against them. And that's my S.L.A.Y strategy, leverage, anticipate what the narcissist is going to do and be 2 steps ahead of them, and focus on you being offensive and building an invisible fence around that narcissist. And you cannot negotiate with a narcissist in a regular, reasonable person way. The regular rules of negotiation just simply will not work. 99% of attorneys do not understand narcissism. I certainly didn't until I started doing this work a couple of years ago and really decided to dive in and understand narcissism. So you have to do the work. You have to prepare your case and present it to your attorney and help your attorney to understand what's going on.